I said this on Friday. I'm going to keep saying it. My new role here is to give Democrats advice because we get the most viewers. Dems have to let go of what's killing them, which is obviously the remaining wokeness.
Ilhan Omar, Jessica Tarlov, and woke liberals like The View were all just ruined by Greg Gutfeld. But this time, Greg went one step farther and also defeated Joe Biden.
According to a new poll, Joe Biden is the least popular living president. His supporters dispute that, saying he's dead. Meanwhile, a former Democrat donor claims Joe Biden was put on drugs before campaign events. Well, that explains the erection.
This is just the beginning. Hold tight as you watch Greg Gutfeld destroy the woke liberals. Gutfeld started by pointing out that modern woke liberals are holding Trump responsible for the rise in TDS, or Trump derangement syndrome, issues.
Georgetown psychology professor says she's seeing an increase in Democrat patients expressing a, quote, sense of burnout, guilt, and despair, which you're used to, at losing an old way of life since Trump has been elected. They credit or they blame the administration's chaos due to all the executive orders and DOJ actions. To the point then, which is that shouldn't the therapist be telling the person, Tyrus, that it's not the Trump administration that is doing this, it is your reaction to it. It is like the way you deal when things aren't going your way is driving you crazy. Trump's not the cause. It's all the that you've been told.
You know what? Yes, good point.
Thank you. I'll take it.
You know they always want to blame someone for something, but this time they took it to the next level and went straight to the airport. As we all know, their anti-grievance agenda is becoming massive.
I just like you to show that you give a damn, that you got a little emotion about the fact that people are losing their jobs indiscriminately. Just like to see somebody wake the hell up and get excited about the fact that your country is under assault. They're not at the gate anymore. They're in your bedrooms. They're in your living rooms. They're in your businesses. They got your data, dumb. They got all your stuff. Elon Musk has his tentacles in everything you're doing, and nobody seems to give a damn. So that's all I want, somebody to show that they care enough to get off their fat and say something about it.
They always want to blame someone, but this time they took it a step farther and went straight to the airport. Their anti-grievance agenda is expanding dramatically, as everyone knows.
Remember when the Keystone Pipeline workers got shelved?
Yes.
No one cried. They said, learn to code.
Learn to code.
Or all those guys that were working for the U.S. military were fired for not getting vaccinated. Or all of the black Americans who lost their jobs to migrants. No one cared. But some people got an 8-month buyout, a severance package with full benefits. It's not really the same.
Remember that many citizens, including Americans, have experienced job loss in the past. I don't understand why the left always makes everything seem so bad when Republicans do something. In case you missed it, Elon Musk also tweeted that everyone who is the focus of these useless arguments will receive benefits for 8 months.
That I did. The interesting thing about Fort Knox is that the K is silent. Did you know that? KNOX, and K stands for Krugerrands, which suggests that perhaps there's less gold in Fort Knox than you think. Fort Knox is evil. In 1933, Jesse, a few years before you were born, FDR declared private ownership of gold to be illegal and then took it under the threat of imprisonment. That was our gold. We didn't steal it from the Indians the way it was supposed to be. It was stolen from us. And then a year later, he doubled the price of the gold. And since then, it has been audited since 1953, 148 million troy ounces of gold, and we don't know if it's actually there. What if it's not there at all?
Oh my God.
I know. What if I don't know, what if Dr. Phil has it? I have no idea. Poor Michael Steele. If he doesn't do that every day, he doesn't have a job. He's the guy you go to for the exploding head move. He's like that stress ball, the stress ball you squeeze and the little things pop out of the ears. He has to do that every day because he used to be the former RNC chair 14 years ago, and he became the former RNC chair back then, and he's been milking that ever since. It's not relevant. It's as relevant as saying Ted Bundy was a Boy Scout. He was. believe it or not. I even did research on that. What's hilarious about the protests, and then I'll shut up, although people want me to keep talking, those protests are the same exact game plan that is used by USAID in other countries, which is to undermine foreign countries or the sitting governments in those countries by creating discontent. You know they're funding it because the people shouting the loudest are the ones who are on the payroll. The protest really is no different than a guy screaming at a cop because he wants to look through the back of his car because he can smell the pot and the booze.
Thank you, Jesse, for speaking up. If you're paying close attention, you'll also see that all those woke media outlets are completely ignoring the scandal surrounding the money's destination. It's just amusing that they only talk about the protests Trump is facing.
Michael Steele was talking about elected officials from the Democratic Party. He wasn't yelling about rank and file Democrats. He was basically saying to the party infrastructure, you're doing this all wrong. Like, having rallies in Washington, D.C. is not getting the message out about what the real implications of these cuts are. And yeah, whatever Jesse says, I mean, maybe we'll find out next week that it's, as true as the condoms to Gaza, but there's real stuff and stories you could be. Oh, cool.
I did.
Okay. So he made that up. Don't bother fact checking it. It was made up. You need to talk about the 3,400 people from the fire service that were fired. For instance, I mean, Donald Trump was out in California talking about how we need more people working on this, that you need to be raking the leaves. Then we're firing people. There 57% of the land in California is run by the federal government. So you need to do that. Firing these disease detectives when we have measles outbreaks. You could talk about that. Go out to your home constituents and talk about that. The nuclear weapons workers that were fired and then they had to get rehired because that was a mistake. Or even on a day like today, and I understand that the plane flipped over in Canada, that they're firing air traffic controllers and they're showing no cause, not based on performance or conduct for doing that. They did it Friday night on Valentine's Day at 7 p.m. So you
Not
talk
Valentine's Day.
The best day of the year. No, but those are real stories that are affecting Americans on the ground.
That Greg is the sole media personality addressing this issue is fantastic. I just want to say that he is very good at handling things properly. I don't understand how these woke protesters see the world. The truth is, we are saving them a lot of money. Greg pointed out that the biggest protesters seem to be having money, difficulties. But why do leftists fail to see this? They aren't ignoring it. It's not registering with them. Just like Jessica Tarlov, the left only cares about what supports their narrative. They don't care about the millions and billions of public funds that have been stolen from Americans and diverted to Gaza. These idiots will never learn anything.
If Joe had done that, it would have been in a hearse and the blinker would still be on. Of course, if it was Kamala, they'd stop for a roadie. Trump has essentially destroyed the Democratic Party, but before that, he also destroyed the Republican Party. So all the Dems are experiencing is what we already went through. You just need to admit that. Sometimes I just want to shake the remaining sane Democrats and saying, what are you? Because right now, for the last 8 years, you were anti-Trump, and that's not doing any good. You've indulged the whims of deranged activists for 8 years. That didn't work. And your whole hoax matrix has imploded. Look at how quickly the Pete Hegseth hoax just imploded. He's drinking at the podium. That thing was gone before it had any traction. So I said this on Friday. I'm going to keep saying it. My new role here is to give Democrats advice because we get the most viewers. Rather than trashing them, I'm going to help them. Because that's the kind of person I am, as you know.
Are so nice.
First of all, the Dems have to let go of what's killing them, which is obviously the remaining wokeness. And I go back to my zombie analogy. In every zombie movie, the hero struggles against becoming a zombie, when in fact, if he just lets the zombie bite him, it's over with. The zombies leave you alone, and you can work your way up the zombie ranks, become a zombie bureaucrat, get a good zombie consulting fee. That's what the Dems did with the woke virus. They let themselves get bit rather than resist. That only works if all of America complied, but they didn't. So now you got to unbite yourself. Now, in order to do that, and this is Jessica can I think agree with me on this.
No. Since these issues are more significant to Jessica and other woke activists, I'm sure they will disagree with this. Every decision Trump makes over the next 4 years will make news. Greg Gutfeld has also talked on other matters.
Trump has found the middle ground on every issue, and he called it common sense. So what that did is it imploded the left versus right structure. You can't get left or right on the high ground. That's why it's a high ground. So there's no left or right. So how do you outflank that? You can't. So you end up having to find new ground. They need to find issues that Trump hasn't already picked over. And that's a challenge because it's like when it comes to issues for the Democrats, it's like going to Walmart on Saturday after Black Friday. Trump has gone through everything. So, I mean, there are some issues that are going to come up that the Democrats could reshape their party around, but I don't want to help them yet.
Yeah, it's not water pressure in the showers. It's not straws, Jessica. You guys are going to have to dig deep. Your name was invoked. Does your party thrive on praise?
I mean, I like it. I love some affirmation. My mom texts me every day during the show so that I have a friend.
My mom does, and I have an enemy.
That's true. My mom and your mom.
Right.
She still loves you, but obviously.
Oh, poor Jessica. She hasn't spoken since Greg Gutfeld revealed the shocking truth. Your Democratic friends should watch this video to understand the facts, so please leave a comment and share it with them. And here's why, in case you were wondering.
I'm not interested in saying that the Democrats suck. Leave that to outnumbered. I say right now you suck, but here's what you got to do to get out of it. I think a lot of Dems, people watch this show. There are more Democrats watching this show than CNN and MSNBC could combine. So they come here for some kind of free therapy. And I'm here to give it to you because I actually want them to join us. And the Democrats have a choice to join the good guys or become a Bond.
But even when Greg Gutfeld says all of this in front of Jessica Tarlov, it seems like she doesn't get it. Just look at how she starts and ends her arguments.
I don't hate everything that Greg said. I also just think on these issues, you could take the L and be kind of magnanimous about it. If I was Hakeem Jeffries, I would say, if you are on the wrong side of even a 60-40 issue, I know, Dana, we go with 80-20 or 90-10, but
on the
some of these where you just say, we don't need to have this fight right now. The American people have spoken. We're not going to be showing up at the ballot box for another 2 years. Let's see how this goes. This is what my party is about, right? And Greg, when you say, let's find some new issues, I think the issues are going to be the same. People vote on the economy, right? They vote on immigration. So we need to stake out what our position is, have common sense messaging that really lifts up the average American, get back working class voters, and go from there. I do want to say something about Daytona. And, I'm fully aware that President Trump, this is a big victory. They have control of all three not branches, but houses, even though it's only a slim majority in the House. But, a lot of Americans were having a really bad weekend because of these storms. So over 10 people passed away because of these storms that were hitting the eastern side of the United States. 9 alone dying in Kentucky, people drowning in.
You can see why I'm unable to let you hear her any longer. She's like one of those horrible clowns from The View, and she always transforms good news into bad news. Moreover, I don't think Democrats will ever change and start using common sense. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe.